this way. You think I'm someone to be saved, someone to clean up and tame. Oh, some things never change, never change. You think I would look pretty on your arm once you cover up my bruises and battle scars, but it always ends the same. Can't bear the things I've had to face, got you crying on your knees in pain. Oh, some things never change, never change. You'll break your back to make me feel again, suffocate to make me breathe again, lose your mind from endless pain. Some things never change, never change. Redemption ever came. I stopped asking for forgiveness, cause you should know only fools tread where the angels fear to go, but you keep trying to get too close. Save myself by turning into stone, so save your judgment cause you just don't know. But some things never change, never change. They say I should feel guilty and change my ways, leaving crumpled bodies in my wake. Swear I didn't mean to make them break, swear I didn't mean to make them break. But they're so delicate and so mundane, and they keep coming like a moth to flame. Oh, some things never change, never change. You'll break your back to make me feel again, suffocate to make me breathe again, lose your mind from endless pain. Some things never change, never change. Redemption never came. You say I make you nervous, a tragedy, I'm a beautiful disaster, a reckoning. You wonder how I got this way. You think I'm someone to be saved, someone to clean up and tame. Oh, some things never change, never change. You think I would look pretty on your arm once you cover up my bruises and battle scars, but it always ends the same. Can't bear the things I've had to face, got you crying on your knees in pain. Oh, some things never change, never change. You'll break your back to make me feel again, suffocate to make me breathe again, lose your mind from endless pain. Some things never change, never change. Redemption ever came. I stopped asking for forgiveness, cause you should know only fools tread where the angels fear to go, but you keep trying to get too close. Save myself by turning into stone, so save your judgment cause you just don't know. But some things never change, never change. They say I should feel guilty and change my ways, leaving crumpled bodies in my wake. Swear I didn't mean to make them break, swear I didn't mean to make them break. But they're so delicate and so mundane, and they keep coming like a moth to flame. Oh, some things never change, never change. You'll break your back to make me feel again, suffocate to make me breathe again, lose your mind from endless pain. Some things never change, never change. Redemption never came.
Rather than lads, welcome back to Cossy's Arsenal podcast. My name is Cossy. good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in all parts of the world. Thank you for joining me once again on another Arsenal show. We're gonna be discussing the new Arteta's, priorities. Fabrizio Romano actually, was speaking to Golazzo, and he actually came out and said that Arsenal will be getting in, strikers. But of course, what is interesting is that it's not just the names that we know, quite very very different names that are really being rumored to be Mikel Arteta's next priorities. Quite very very different and interesting names. So that is where we're gonna focus on this video. Jonathan David, Arthur Melo. Of course, Arthur Melo, as a midfielder, has been linked with Arsenal, and of course we know that Mikel Arteta loves the player. From the bottom of his heart, but also another new links with a player called Arthur Cabro at Basel. So we'll be discussing a couple of all these stories, trying to get at the bottom of them and try to understand where exactly is our January going on. Of course, Fabrizio has been talking about our situation with Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, and he's saying that if it's not in January, it is in the summer. It's almost like a deal over the line. It's almost like a done deal. It will be happening. He will be leaving Arsenal Football Club. So we're gonna also dive into that, a little bit what Fabrizio Romano is saying, what is happening, around the new striker situation, exactly, at the time when we have new priorities at the moment, and obviously, Arthur Melo and a couple of other stories that we will actually look at, maybe later in the video. We are sponsored by the beautiful people at Melbet, so make sure you do check out Melbet, www.melbet.com. If you check them out, make sure you do open up an account with them. They'll give you the best betting odds, and of course, if you want, you just want to add, a little extra income, through enjoying the sport, then that is what they do. They just give you that opportunity to earn some side income, by watching the sport, by enjoying the sport. Betting only for people above the ages of 18. Bet responsibly. Your capital could go up or go down, when you invest. In betting. But anyway, guys, let's talk about the new Mikel Arteta's transfer priorities, as opposed to what we've been hearing in the past. I should say, in the past 2 months or so. It looks like Mikel Arteta has different thoughts in terms of our transfer priorities. So what I'm gonna do is we're gonna look at these priorities and maybe look at the other players that we've been looking at and try to understand: is it are they better than the players we've been looking at, or are we actually going off the track? And that's what we're gonna do in this video. So let's get into it. Let's start off with the Arthur Melo. Today, Corriere dello Sport have actually come out and say that Arthur Melo is the priority in terms of a midfielder for Mikel Arteta. The Brazilian is so talented, and Mikel Arteta is believed to have followed him for quite some time. So he is the priority in terms of a midfielder. He wants to get in a midfielder, in January, and that is Arthur Melo. Now, we linked with a couple of them. Renato, really strongly linked with the side. Obviously, you have Dennis Zakaria as well, strongly linked with Arsenal. But now reports coming in from Italy today indicate that Mikel Arteta is actually more interested in getting in Arthur Melo. According to what I've looked at. A story from Calcio Mercato. This is what they're saying: Arsenal could look to benefit from Juventus's need to balance their books, according to the recent reports. One player the Gunners could turn their attention to is a midfielder called Arthur. That is according to a recent report from Italian outlet Calcio Mercato, who claimed that Mikel Arteta is keen to bring the talented Brazilian to London on loan. The Gunners' pursuit could be handed a huge boost, as it is now widely accepted that Juve must offload several key players in order to be able to delve into the transfer market themselves. And one player understood to be available for transfer alongside out-of-favor teammate Aaron Ramsey is Arthur Melo. Arsenal isn't the only club credited with an interest in the 25-year-old, though Paris Saint-Germain and Spanish side Sevilla are also believed to be keen. if Arsenal could somehow convince Arthur to snap a potential move to Paris Saint-Germain and Sevilla, as well as successfully negotiating a loan with Juve, there is no denying that that would be an incredible piece of business. However, questions like will likely be raised over how the Londoners plan to fit the Brazilian into their squad, especially considering the central midfield area is actually one of their strongest positions. Right. So that is from Calicio Mercato, and they are saying that Mikel Arteta is actually more interested in signing Arthur Melo rather than all the likes of Renato and Dennis Zakaria. Honestly, my thoughts about Arthur Melo will never change. I think in the first place, Barcelona really. I mean, if anyone says Arsenal is the worst run club in the world, they're somehow mad. Like they're somehow mad. The worst run club in the world is FC Barcelona. So what is happening at the moment, what I can confirm is that Arthur Melo is on top of Mikel Arteta's list of priorities. He would love to get him on loan in January. It's a very easy deal for me to do. Very easy move. But like I was saying, my thoughts on Arthur Melo are not changing. They can never change. I think Arthur is one of the very talented central midfielders. Barcelona, what a mess. I mean, what a mess. They brought in Miralem Pjanic. I don't know how they decided to let go of Arthur Melo and then signing Miralem Pjanic. I love Pjanic. I know he's a very talented player. By the time he was at Juve, I think he was really doing a very good job. But for me, Arthur Melo had a bigger ceiling, a higher ceiling, a brighter future than any other player than Miralem Pjanic. I don't know what really Barcelona thought, but for me, this would be a very good move. Very good move. Like I've already said, Arsenal's January transfer budget is questionable. It's highly questionable whether we will go out there and spend 100 million, 50 million in January. It's really questionable. So it's either going to be loan deals for me, or no one else, and that is what I don't want. I don't want Arsenal to reach in a place where they're like, we do not have the money, so we will not sign in anyone else. In January, it's going to be a time for us to prepare. I don't know whether the Premier League season is actually going to continue. Lots and lots of speculation around how the season could be called off, which is actually really. I'm really convinced that it could be the case. But look, listen. January is a time for us to strengthen. January is a time for us to strengthen. It's a time for us to reflect on what we want to do and what we want to achieve as a club. So, look, we are in December. We are fourth. Probably, after the weekend, Manchester United's game against Brighton has been cancelled. So after we play Leeds, if that game happens, if we play Leeds over the weekend, we will be above Manchester United, but they will have 2 games in hand, and we'll be above Spurs, and Spurs will also have 2 games, or actually they'll have 4 games in hand. Can you believe it? They'll have around 4 or 3 games in hand. So that means you've got to win every game. We have to win every game and hope that Manchester United and Spurs lose points. You're never going to do that with a very narrow squad. And of course, we know it. One of our problems is squad depth. Our squad is not as broad as we want it to be. So in January, even at this point, we know we need a central midfielder. If you look at Xhaka, Lokonga, El Neni, and Partey, we are really lacking someone that comes onto that pitch, and I feel like there is a huge difference as compared to what we have. I think Lokonga, Xhaka, Partey, almost not at the same level. I think Partey is really different, a different level player. But they are really giving us almost the same thing. Arthur Melo, the likes of Renato, that is where they come in. They would give you a very different dimension, to the club. They would give a very different kind of, game plan and game to the club. So, in terms of how easy the deal is, I think that this is the easiest deal. The easiest deals would be going to Barcelona to get a player, or to Juve. But I think the easier team to get a player from at the moment is Juve. Juve are very clever. They're very wise. They know they're having financial problems, and what they're trying to do is that they're trying to offload all those players that are really earning high wages at the club at the moment. And that includes the likes of Arthur, Ramsey, Rabiot, Bentaku, the likes of Kulusevski. They're trying to offload all those players that are not in the in the plans of the manager, Allegri, but they're also trying to lessen the weight of what of the wage, of the wage budget. That's what that is what they're trying to do. They're trying to lessen that budget. They're trying to lessen the weight of the wages, and I think it's a very, very good strategy, because you could find yourself sinking in debt, sinking in very, very financial difficult times if you don't do that. So Arthur Melo, not really in the plans of the manager at the moment. At the moment, it looks like the likes of Weston McKennie, the likes of Manuel Locatelli, are the players that are really, really, taking over at Juve. So it's a very, very good opportunity for Arsenal to go there and get in such a talent. No doubt, he is a player that we do not have. He is the player that we need. A player that I think I would compare him to Mateo Kovacic. Again, those kind of midfielders that are just naturally given, talented. They are technically good. They're technically, gifted. He's gonna run around with the ball. He's gonna try to dribble up, a few times. He's gonna have, very, very good, successful, passing rate and a couple of things. We're gonna look at his statistics, on FBref, and you'll see that the offensive part of his game is actually very, very late. However much we talk about the likes of Martinelli, the likes of Saka, Odegaard, and Smith Rowe, but we also need to have that kind of player that supports the press right from deep. I think Partey is really, really doing it, but he's not the man that you think should be doing that. I think Partey's role as a box to box is really, really, really doing that. But if you could get another player who fits into that role, just gives you that creativity, just gives you, a lot of creativity from deeper, very, very from deeper areas of the pitch. I think it would really, really make a lot of sense. So Arthur Melo, easy deal. Juve want him out. Arsenal want him. Juve will accept a loan deal because they know, even in January when they just lessen, some of the burden on the on the wage budget, they could bring in someone. Of course, at the moment, we know they want to bring in a super midfielder and a super striker. I don't know why they want a super midfielder, but I do understand why they need a super striker. The likes of Morata are not actually doing the job. They're not up to the standard. So I do understand when they say they need a super striker, but a midfielder, I'm still very, very skeptical. I think the likes of Dybala should be given more time, given the chances. And I think Dybala is a great player for me. I think the likes of Manuel Locatelli, we all know how great he is as a player. And the likes of Arthur Melo, really, if United, if Juventus just decided to give them time, I think they would be very, very good players, great players. But I think for me, this is a no-brainer. This is a no-brainer for Arsenal. Go out there, get Arthur Melo, on loan, and then try to sign him, in the summer. Again, a player just 25 years of age. If you're trying to sign players, in that age bracket, in that age range, I think he's in it. And he, with him, he gives you that kind of, experience. He gives you that kind of, what you'd call pedigree, because he's already 25. He's proven. He's played at Juve. He's played at Barcelona. He's played at the top level. He's always been playing at the top level. Juve, Barcelona. So I think it all makes sense for Arsenal. It's a very, very good deal for Arsenal. If we want to get him, I just want to look at some of his statistics, and then to compare to players like Renato Sanchez, because again, what we have to look at is how good is he, and can he compare to the likes of Zakaria? How does he compare to the likes of Partey? And how does he compare to the likes of Renato Sanchez? I think that is the focus of every player we'll be talking about. So I think look. Let's look at some of his statistics on FBref and fine. This season, I think one of the major reasons as to why he wants to leave and why the Serie A club want him to leave. This season, he's only played 4 games. Only 4 games for Juve. Last season, that is in the Serie A. Last season, played 22 games for them, scored 1 goal and didn't have an assist. And of course, it really creates a very, very big question. But I think it's just one of those players that really need to find their footing before their careers go, in the evening, because they are really good. I really trust him. I don't know why I really, really trust him, but I trust his talent as a player. I know he is absolutely really, really, really perfect. So if you look at some of his strongest statistics, pass completion rate per 90 is 93%, and of course this is a player that plays progressive football. This is a player that really plays his football in the opponent's half. So that means you would expect his pass completion to be a little bit less, because he really plays in the opposition half. So you'd have him drop give away the ball so many times. But being is his pass completion being at 93.9%, it really creates some advantages. Passes attempted per 90. 83.82%. Pressures applied per 90, 18.54. Ball carries 6.6. That is really, really good compared to all other midfielders, especially at Arsenal. Progressive passes, it stands at 5.9. Tackles 1.18. 1.81, sorry. Progressive passes 1.57. Dribbles completed per 90, 1.4. Interceptions 1.0. Blocks 1.0. Shots in total 0.9. Clearances 0.33. So what you see in Arthur Melo is, for me, you would say another Santi Cazorla, but his game lacks risks. His game lacks the risks like players like Houssem Aouar take, players like Yuri Tillemans take. I think that is what he lacks in his game. He just needs to be that kind of player that does his thing really, really really, really well. Actually, should I say that? The player that should be taking more risks, because if you look at his pass completion and passes attempted, it shows you that his game is so casual, right? At the moment, we all know the potential he has as a player, and that's why I always, I'm always, saying we need to take him at Arsenal. At the moment, not many goals, not very, very many assists. Because if you look at the number of expected assists per 90, it is 0.07. And if you look at number of goals per 90 expected, it is 0.02. It means he's not really getting there. But it's the same problem Martin Odegaard had. He was not taking risks. He was not actually maximizing his full potential. So if we got Arthur Melo, probably on loan, I could care less. Probably on loan or sign him on a permanent. I could care less as long as we get him. As long as we get him at Arsenal, I don't care whether it's a permanent or on loan initially. I think he will provide us with a lot. He will provide. I think what he needs is that a string of games to play consistently. So that he can actually provide his best. Such players that play out of instinct, out of talent. They need a lot of time. They need a lot of time on the pitch, to give you. And when they click, they can give you something really, really good. But anyway, Arthur Melo, Mikel Arteta loves him. Let's compare him to Renato Sanchez now at the moment. Now, the first thing I think, I think about when I talk about Renato is injury record. Arthur Melo has the ability to play for you 30 games in a campaign. Renato Sanchez, at least as for now, lacks that ability. He lacks the ability to play for you 30 games in a campaign. He's always going to be injured at some point in time. Right, he might not have these injuries that keep him out, for the season. But if you look at the last 5 years, Renato has not played a season where he has, completed, 35 games or 30 games or 33 games. The best he's played in a season is around 25 to 27 games. Right. 25 to 27 games. So I still think like, and I still believe, Renato is gonna be hard if you compare him to Arthur Melo. If you try to compare him to Arthur Melo, then the problem is how does he compare in terms of being fit? Because again, you need that, especially in the pivot. You don't need a player in that pivot who is always around, goes away, around, goes away. I think if Sawinga, it's okay. I mean, I could stand a winger who plays 10 games and then gets injured 3 games and comes back for the next 3. But for a central midfielder, you need consistency. One of the things that you should have as a central midfielder is durability. You need to have that durability. You need to have, you need to be very, very reliable. So in terms of reliability, it is Arthur Melo. Dribbles and ball carries, I'm not even gonna lie, guys, it's Renato Sanchez. Renato has that ability to carry the ball, whether from his own box to the opposition box. He's got more ability to do that. Right. So in terms of carrying the ball, running with it, dribbling, I think Renato is the better player in that regard. And what we need as Arsenal at the moment, we need a player who can dribble better. We need a player who can, see a different picture. Now, when it comes to seeing a different picture, that is where Arthur Melo comes in, and that's why I'm backing him over Renato Sanchez. I don't know how many people, would agree with me on, on Arthur Melo and things like that. But what I'm gonna say, lads, is Arthur Melo is another Modric, another Kovacic. Right, he might not be at that level of Mesut Ozil, because for me, again, Ozil is at another level. A player that really sees, a picture that nobody sees on the pitch at another very, very, very different level. Right, but when we talk about Arthur Melo, all I'm gonna say, everything I'm gonna say about him is that player that can see something different. If you have seen Thomas Partey, he's gonna make these very, very fantastic passes, but they're so predictable. They're very, very predictable. If I'm the opponent, I know. Actually, I was talking to one of my friends as I was watching the game against was it Southampton or West Ham? I think it was Southampton. And I said my problem with Partey is that he's so predictable. Like when he plays, when he's playing in that midfield, he plays many balls to Bukayo Saka's side. If you've really, really seen that, whenever he gets that ball, yes, at times it really, gives it to the likes of, Kian Tierney and Martinelli, but much of his game is looking at, Bukayo Saka is looking at that very, very good pass to find Bukayo Saka. So that is for me what Arthur Melo would provide with Arsenal. Because again, Xhaka, when Xhaka plays with Partey, they have that simplicity, right? That is the word. They're so simplistic. They have that simplicity, in the midfield. They get the ball, they pass it around. You need that player who is going to, lift his head up and see those runs, right? Those runs by Martinelli. Of course, we know Martinelli makes a lot of runs, per 90. Those runs by Saka. Those runs by, by the striker. Those runs by, demanding for the ball by Martin Odegaard. The spaces that are being left by Martin Odegaard when he's roaming around. You need a player who's going to fit in them and do well. And I think, really Arthur Melo, for me, is that player. He's gonna do that for you, and he's gonna be the player that really sees a very different kind of picture when everyone thinks, play this pass, it's the easy one. He's always gonna be seeing a very, very different, picture. So I think that is where you would differentiate them, because they're almost in the same age bracket. Arthur Melo and Renato almost in the same age bracket. But I think what differentiates the two is where the difference is, right? I think, listen, I would play Renato and Partey, and of course you could play Arthur Melo and Partey. What Renato has is he's got again some different defensive attributes to his game. I think Arthur Melo is more like this kind of forward-minded player. He's so good on the ball. He's so good when you are in possession. When you lose the ball, you have to have a very, very good number 6. So Arthur Melo would actually work better, to be honest, if you have a player like Albert Lokonga playing alongside him, right? Because again, Lokonga is that kind of player that just does the donkey work, right? Like chasing around, doing the tackles, winning the ball back and passing it, up front. That is what Lokonga does. Interceptions, predicting play and things like that. That is what Lokonga does. So with a player like Arthur Melo, I mean Brazilian, he's this fancy, right? So you just need that kind of hard worker. You know, that kind of player that really, really works hard, beside him. And I think, that is why you would play Renato and Partey. Because again, I think Renato has some attributes that Partey doesn't have. Arthur does as well. But the problem with Arthur is he's going to leave you exploited. Maybe what you think about is the fact that now we're having a very, very good backline, so it doesn't need a lot of defensive a lot of defensive you don't need a player to come in with a lot of defensive attributes. You just need that kind of player that can bring something different on the table. I think that is the level at which Arsenal are at the moment. Whenever we are going to sign in someone, the question we should be asking, what do you bring on the table? If a player literally brings the same things that we already have on the table, kick him out. I really do not think they are really useful. Kick them out. So Arthur Melo, Renato, it's a very, very close tie. Guys, let's vote in the chat right now. Just type, if you're Renato, type, if you prefer Renato to Arthur Melo, type Renato. If you prefer Arthur Melo to Renato, type Melo. Just that. Type Melo or type Renato. Because for me, it's a close tie. It's a very, very close one. Unless, you have a player like Tielemans. Because if you tell me Tielemans or Arthur, I'll be like, Tielemans all day long, Tielemans. But Arthur Melo, Renato, it's a tight one. Right? It's a really tight one. Both of them are really talented bowlers, players that are really entertaining to watch, players that can give you that kind of rhythm. Their passing's lead, they're really talented. And it's a difficult one. It's a very, very, very difficult one. Thanks everybody for watching in. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe to the tin as well, as I bring you the latest in terms of Arsenal news on a daily basis. Arsenal news, previews, match reactions, things, 6 things we learn. We have so many shows, on here. So make sure you are subscribed and make sure you always hitting that like button. It really adds something to the channel and it really brings a lot of engagement to the channel, which helps it to grow. Of course, our target at the moment is 50,000 subscribers, but by the end of the next year, we should be at 100,000. That is our dream here at Cossy's Arsenal Podcast. We are a big, Arsenal podcast, and we are creating, content for a big fan base, for a big club. So make sure you get involved by hitting that like button and subscribing so that we run faster to our target, which is 100,000. I mean, we need the YouTube button. We absolutely need that button. But anyway, lads, apart from the midfielders, which is Arthur Melo and a lot of talk around them, we now also want a striker. Let me run you through what Fabrizio Romano has been talking about our striker situation at Golazo. It's kind of a YouTube channel that I always see him there. It's called Golazo, right? It's called Golazo. So what is happening at the moment? Romano was on Golazo speaking about what is going to happen with Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, and what he said was quite fascinating because he said with the Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, it almost seems like it is over. It is the end of the road. It is either in January or in the summer that he leaves the club. At the moment, it is over. And he said that Arsenal decided weeks ago to go for a new striker, and they're looking at all the possibilities available in January. At the moment, are still looking. It is around 2 weeks ago that we started looking for a striker, looking at new strikers. And if we do not get the priority, if we do not get the opportunity, then it could be in the summer. Now, today, new striker priorities have actually been set. And that is the video. That is what I want us to talk about next. This is from. Listen, this is from France, and that's why I was really, really, surprised. So, Okay, I'm going to speak some French. Uh, According to Jean's Futex, or Futex, I think it's called Futex, right? Because I really don't speak French. So according to Jean's Futex, Arsenal are actively looking to sign two strikers. I'll say that. Arsenal are actively looking to sign two strikers. Two names in particular have caught the attention of Mikel Arteta: FC Barcelona's Arthur Cabral and Lille's Jonathan David. Now, this is coming in from from France, and you know what I was gonna say? If it was coming in from the UK, if you could just guess, I was gonna say that they're trying to cover the Dusan Blahovic talk, which is really leading at the moment. But it is coming in from France, and it is really interesting. But what I can confirm, and what I really like about it, is the consistency, right? It is consistent with the existing stories. The Arsenal do fancy to bring in two forwards, two strikers. One of them is Jonathan David, and the other is Basso's Arthur Cabral. There is nothing, absolutely, there is no time I've watched Arthur Cabral. No time. I've not watched him play. I didn't even know that there was a player called Arthur Cabral. I'm not even gonna lie. But Jonathan David, and this is interesting with Jonathan David, because it's not the first time the Arsenal have been linked with with Jonathan David, and is now emerging as a priority. So we're gonna look at these two players, compare them, and then compare them to Dusan Blahovic, who's been our transfer priority for the past 60 days, and then talk about that, because again, which is what is interesting, is that reports in Italy indicate that 100%, we talked about that today, that 100% Blahovic is our priority. And now reports from France, from Jean's Futex, are saying that we are actively looking to sign two strikers, and the two names that Mikel Arteta is prioritizing is Jonathan David and Arthur Cabral from FC Barca. So what are your thoughts, lads, on these two lads? Do you think maybe it's a new face? They could be this face of the new era? Because one quote I want to get from Fabrizio Romano when he was speaking, he said Arsenal want to get a new face of their project. They've been looking at Pierre Aubameyang as the face of the project, but that has failed. They tried to get Lautaro Martinez to be the face of the project, just like you saw, Kun Aguero being the face of the revolution. Not really a revolution, but being the face of the turnaround at Manchester City. So we wanted Lautaro Martinez, and for me, look, it's not like his face is so good, but I would have wanted him to be the face of our new project. He would look good. He would really, really look good, on the project. But anyway, so two lads have caught the eye of Mikel Arteta, despite being linked with Yuri Alberto, being linked with Dusan Blahovic, Alexander Isak, and a couple of them. One thing I'm gonna say is every outlet from their country is going to take the opportunity to link Arsenal to players in that country or to players from that country. I won't be really surprised. Like, I won't be surprised if I saw Turkish reports say this player from Besiktas is leading the rest to join Arsenal. I wouldn't be surprised to see reports from Africa linking us with the best talents in Africa at the moment, because they're looking at that opportunity, and that is how the media work. They're looking at that opportunity as one of the outlets to put their stories out there, right? They're looking at it as an opportunity to put their, well, I was gonna say crap, but it's not really crap, to put out their talents. Sometimes it is the agents that sponsor these stories. The transfer market is very, very difficult. Look, I don't see how Arthur Cabral and Jonathan David become the particulars in being our priorities. I don't see how they become that. If it is true that 85 million euros has been placed for Fiorentina's Blahovic, how does Arthur Cabral and and Jonathan David then become the particular in terms of priorities. But anyway, let's look at some of their statistics and try to compare them. So let us start off with Jonathan David. I think for Jonathan David, I might agree because this is a story coming in from from France, and the player is currently playing at Lille in France. So for issues of proximity, I will consider credibility, right? I'll consider credibility for issues of proximity. But when I look at the likes of Arthur Cabral, really, I mean, we do sport. There's a lot of sporting. We have so many, scouts, out there trying to help us getting talent. But Jonathan David has been really developing well. The Guardian, not so long ago, around 3 weeks ago, the Guardian actually wrote a very interesting piece that we will review tomorrow in the 5 p.m. show. In the 4 p.m. show. We will review that, that scout report on Jonathan David and see exactly how good it is. But let's see. Let's look at Jonathan David. So these are some of the things you've got to know about him. Jonathan David position. He's a center forward who plays 70%, 76% on his right foot at the moment. Born in New York in the United States. His age is 21. Right, so he was born in Brooklyn, New York, United States. Age 21. He was born in 2000. That is Jonathan Christian David for you. He's played this season. He's played 18 games. Oh, these guys have played so many games in the French league. So he's played 18 games this season already. And is it a year? Is it this year? Is it this season? I don't think they played 18 games, but I think they have because we played 16 in the Premier League. How did I forget that? So 18 games this season and a total of 1,276 minutes so far, and he has scored 11 goals. That is impressive. That is impressive. That is really, really impressive. Not as compared to Dusan Vlahovic, because Vlahovic is another beast in terms of scoring goals. But at least 18 games, 18 matches played, 11 goals. One thing you can easily see is that he scored more goals than any other Arsenal player this year and this season. Right? Of course, he's played 2 more games than any other Arsenal player. But how many players do we have who are our top scorers? I think Aubameyang with 4, Odegaard with 4. I think now Smith Rowe has around 5 or 6 goals already this season. Saka, how many goals does Saka have? Around 3, around 2. Really not among the top scorers, really. Really. And then Lacazette around what? 3 or 4 as well. So we do not have that kind of player who stands out, and I think that's what Arsenal want at the moment. You want, because if you look at our goalkeeper, he is outstanding. Our right back, he's outstanding. Our left back is outstanding. Our centre backs are really outstanding. And Partey and Xhaka, I think Partey is outstanding. In the midfield pivot. Odegaard, Smith Rowe, and Saka, they're outstanding there. But you lack that outstanding goal scorer. You lack that outstanding player up front. And if you look at, if you look at how you would rate Arsenal's departments, I think we should do some rating videos, but on a different channel, maybe on the Arsenal Arena. But if you look at Arsenal's, departments, and if you're trying to rate them, it is the forward line that ranks last. It's the forward line that is actually letting us down. So 0 assists, but 11 goals already this season. His expected goals is this season 9.5. Expected assists 2.0, and then expected number of goals and assists is 7.2. So it shows you that he's, again, is that kind of forward that has a lot of potential. Arsenal will be looking to sign him, really. Lots of potential in there. Lots of potential in there. Actually, he scored a total of 14 goals this season already, because they are playing in the Champions League. They're playing in the Champions League. They won the league over PSG last season, and they're playing in the Champions League. 3 Champions League goals and 11 Premier League, 11 League League One goals. So you can see there is some consistency because even last season, he did score the goals, right? Actually, he broke onto the scene last season when he scored very, very many goals. Now this season, he's actually keeping track. So maybe Arsenal will try to go there. And of course, we have a very, very good relationship with them. We've got Nicola Pepe from there. We've got Jovino Yao Cossy from there. We've got Gabriel Magalhaes from Lille. So it's I mean, it will be an easy, an old man stock. I need the man. I need that. It's like we are going to our academy to get a player. Lille are saying they do not have a problem to sell Jonathan David if a club has 55 million euros. That is 47 million pounds, as far as I do understand. Right there. Right. So listen. 55 million euros. I think that will reduce, right? Can I look at his contract? Maybe when does his contract run down? FBref do not have those statistics, but it would be interesting to see when his contract runs down. I think he still has around 2 chances. I mean, so 2 years on his contract. So it's not going to be a cheap one. It's not going to be one of those cheap ones. But at least it is understood that Lille will sell the player in the summer. Of course, we know Lille, they always sell their players. They sold Jovino, they sold Enaza, they sold Sumare. They really sell whatever. They've sold Ikone to Fiorentina. For them, as long as you're worth some money, they will sell you. So what are the strongest attributes of Jonathan David's goals? Pass completion, a little bit late, stands at 86%. That is his pass completion. Non-penalty goals, he stands at 88%. Right. Number of non-penalty goals expected, 81%. I think if you look at his strongest areas, again, it is getting in the goals. Because if you look at progressive carries, it is really disappointing. It stands at 2.84, which is 50. Of course, for a striker, you might be a little bit flattered. But if you look at his shot creating actions, apart from getting shots away, because shot creating actions are those facilitations to leading to a goal, he stands at 49%. Not really impressive. But anyway, one thing I'm gonna say about Jonathan David is he's playing in a decent league, and at the moment, sorry to say this, but he's playing for. I mean, I don't want to say Lille is a decent club, but at least winning the league last season, playing in the Champions League, I think he comes with that kind of pedigree. He comes with that kind of experience at a very, very young age, because he was literally born in 2000. He's 21 years of age, right? So, and I think it's a very, very good deal if you compare it to Vlahovic in terms of the pricing, in terms of the money. Arsenal will not have to pay lots and lots of money, right? It's 55 million euros. You get the player. That is significantly less than the 85 we want to offer for Dusan Vlahovic. So should we go for Jonathan David? If I compare him to Vlahovic, he's not anywhere close to the numbers, and they're in the same age bracket. They fit into our project. Vlahovic is 21 as well, and then Jonathan David is also 21. But if you look at their conversion rate, if you look at the number of goals they're scoring at the moment, then I think Vlahovic is the better player, especially putting into consideration the mindset that the Italian Serie A is a harder league to score goals in as compared to the French League One. Now, that is basically out of intuition, out of my own intuition. I'm not backing backing up that statement with any statistics. It is out of my intuition after watching, for a couple of years, watching the Italian Serie A and also watching the French League One. Right? It's really out of my intuition. But anyway, Vlahovic or Jonathan David. I think I would take Jonathan David. I would take Vlahovic, but Arsenal would look Jonathan David as the better deal because of the pricing, because of the money as well. That's what I think. Now we have another problem that we are linked with another man that I really rarely that I know nothing about, playing in Switzerland in the Swiss Super League with FC Basel, and his name is called Arthur Cabro Mendoca. So he's a forward, Arthur Cabro Mendoca, forward from Brazil. If we look at some of his statistics here, born in 1998, 25 years of age so far. He was born in Campina Grande in Brazil. Plays for Basel, and his citizenship. He is Brazilian. This season in the Swiss Super League, he's played 17 games and scored 14 goals with 5 assists. Are they leading the table or something in Switzerland? They have a very, very good they have a very, very good striker there. Let me see. Let me look at it just a little bit. All right. So that is Arthur Cabro. Now the report says that Arthur Cabro is one player that has excited Mikel Arteta once again. The figures are not bad. The numbers are not bad. If you're a striker and you are looked at to be one of the best strikers at the moment, then you have to have so many goals in a league like the Swiss Super League, where we know that every weekend it rains goals, right? It rains goals. It's one of those leagues that just rain goals. It just rains goals. There's so many goals there. So, but anyway, let's talk about it. Look, I do not have a problem signing in players from different leagues, whether it's a weak league or a strong league. It shows you how big and how active the scouting network at the club is. So there is really no big problem. There is really no big issue with it. My problem with Arsenal going for players like Arthur Cabra, 25, is it's a huge risk to the project that we are trying to build at the moment. 25 years of age, if you brought him in and it doesn't work out, where do you sell him? Right? Where do you sell him? You bring him in for 2 years, he becomes 27. Yeah, yes, his career is still on, but you're going to suffer a loss. It's so different when you sign in a player who's 21, 22. When they fail to work out in the next 2 years or 3 years, they will be 25. That will be the prime. You can, they still have a big resale value. So still, and then the other reason that I'm really gonna put up is the quality of the league where he is. I'm not really flattered. Basel, yes, I struggling side, at the moment, gone at the days when they were so good. But what I'm gonna say is, Arthur Cabro, there's so many options we could take other than Arthur Cabro. There's so many options we could take. I'm not really rejecting him if he's a good player and he's been scouted well. Like what I'm saying is that I do not know much about him. I don't know how, I don't know his style or anything like that. But I say, it's a huge risk as compared to the project that we are trying to build as Arsenal Football Club, because we are building a project of young talents, and because it really reduces the risk. It really reduces the risk a lot. It really reduces the risk. Players have a resale value. You could sell them at any point in time, and it is fine. Or if they come in, as young players, then they develop with the project. One advantage you have with players like with Cabro, he's 25, so he brings in a little bit of experience, right? He brings in that that kind of pedigree. He brings in that kind of that kind of experience. But anyway, for me, Jonathan David, I do agree, but Arthur Cabro, no, absolutely not. I think what we should do is we should either get Vlahovic or Jonathan David, and then bring in someone who's not really a striker. It doesn't have to be two strikers. We can bring in we can bring in a versatile forward, right? Like Kulusevski, and then you bring in a striker like Dusan Blahovic or Jonathan David. What are your thoughts then, lads? In the chat, I'm not really going to compare Arthur Cabral to Vlahovic because for me he's not a match. He's not a match at the moment. Cabral is in his prime. We expect him to be doing that. Vlahovic is doing things that are so wonderful of his age. Very, very wonderful. Of course, he's come out as a plan to say that he would love to, be like Erling Haaland. He's chasing, his dream is to be like Erling Haaland. So you can see he's really, really on it. Really, absolutely on it. And then finally, we have been linked with Aurelien Tchouameni. And there have been some comments. I spoke about it in the last video, but I would love to shed more light on Aurelien Tchouameni. So Tchouameni would be my long-term dream signing in the midfield if Arthur Melo doesn't sign. I think we missed out on Eduardo Camavinga, and I was really, 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 unhappy with the situation because I knew we never had Champions League. I knew we were not going to sign Camavinga because of a couple of issues. But I even doubt whether we tried very hard, right? Because if you look at the money that Madrid paid for Eduardo Camavinga, it was a bargain. And they got a very, very good player there. But instead of crying and mourning and mourning for spilled milk, I think Arsenal should try to get a young player with a lot of talent, with a lot of with a lot to offer on the table. And that is none other than Aurelien Tchouameni. Linked with Manchester United, linked with Chelsea. Fabrizio has come out and said at the moment it's going to be expensive to sign him in. And then in the last video I said our priority this summer should be a striker. But if he's available after next summer, let's go for Aurelien Tchouameni. He's a generational talent. He's a big generation talent. I think that midfield with Aurelien Tchouameni and Lokonga could be the future for Arsenal Football Club. But anyway, guys, let's see what you people are saying in the chat. This evening. Hope you guys are really, really doing well. Gleb says, "Who needs a striker when you have Martinelli?" That guy is. I'm still looking at that finish he put off yesterday. It was really good. It was really good. But I think the way we should be using Gabriel Martinelli is still play him just as a forward. Play him either on the left or on the right. And then you have a central striker ahead of him. So what that gives him, for me, is that kind of freedom to always drop in the penalty area and drop out without much attention. I saw it yesterday. During the West Ham game, Alexander Lacazette was the center of attention, and Martinelli got so many chances in the first half. I thought he didn't anticipate the block in the first half. Should have scored. Should have scored that goal. That goal should have really scored. He didn't really. It was poor anticipation. But if he had anticipated the block, probably, if he had taken 3 more seconds faster or 3 more seconds later in the first half, that chance would have been a goal. There. Okay. Mohammed says, "Cossy, good evening. I'm very, very happy today because we beat West Ham, who beat Liverpool and Chelsea. But we must win the remaining games, and we must revenge against Manchester City at the Emirates." Wow. That's really, really big energy. Big up to you, Carling. Is it Harrigan? Big up to you. Mohammed says, "And we must give Aubameyang his respect, even if he can leave in January transfer window because he signed the new contract. He's the best striker at Arsenal, but after a huge salary, he flops." I think, look, it's not new. It's not new. Actually, Fabrizio spoke about it on the Golazo, and he said it's not new that Arsenal sign players on huge contracts and then they go missing. Glenn says, "Do you think Allegri will be there for too long? Some really poor results. Hope we can get the players soon. I feel like he will be sacked." Look, Absolutely, absolutely. I don't know why Juve are really really performing very very poorly. I do not know. But look, I think the standards of Juve are do well or you fess this up, right? I don't think they are grooming a future manager. They're not at that level. They are the biggest brand in Italian Serie A, right? There's a lot of pressure on the manager. There's a lot of pressure on the players. So if you're not doing well, you're gonna leave. Honestly, you're going to leave. Mohammed says, I agree with you, Cossy, about Arthur Mello. Captain Nemo says, hi, Cossy, which rumors have I missed? The rumors, our transfer priorities are changing from Renato to Arthur Mello and from Dusan Blahovic to Cabro, the Basso player, and Jonathan David. That is the latest we have. Glenn says, my favorite content creator. Thank you so much, Glenn. Much appreciate. I really really do appreciate that. Richard Harron says, chicken dinner. Really? You should, you should give me chicken dinner if you have made, if you have made. Emmanuel says, I prefer Athmelo over Renato Sanchez. Cab says, Athmelo, his precise vision and ability to play in different positions across the midfield makes him better. Mohammed says, Cossy, 2 strikers is good, but if we get Kulusevski and 1 experienced striker, it's even better. And then he also says, Cossy, Arsenal must sell Torreira at 20 million euros at Fiorentina and add some money to get Dusan Vlahovic. Sandwell says, we must bring in 2 strikers who have high spirit of scoring in every game, not up and down strikers. And then my man Malik says, I greet you all and also thank Arsenal players for their efforts, but put in place and not what the coach told them. And Malik says, honestly, we still need 2 or 3 players building young talent. Cossy, we still need experienced players. So, guys, thanks everybody for joining me today. It's been a long day of long, beautiful, content. Look, there is nothing I'm proud of more than being an Arsenal content creator. I'm really, really proud. So at the moment, I'm gonna take a shower, eat something, and rest. If you love to support my podcast, in any way, make sure you use my lines in the in the description, and I'll speak to you in the next one. As always, come on, you Gunners.
Anywhere you go,